Hey there, friends. Glad you're here. If you've ever sat at your desk, looked out the window, and wondered what it might feel like to just sail away, this one's for you. I'm in my 50s now, and a few years back I made a decision that changed everything. I set off alone, chasing open water and quiet mornings instead of traffic and deadlines. Solo sailing at this age, it's not just a lifestyle, it's a leap. And it's not all sunsets and seabirds. There's real freedom, sure, but there's fear too. Fear of the unknown, fear of breakdowns, sometimes even fear of yourself when it gets quiet out there. In this video, I want to walk you through both sides of this coin, from why I chose this life to the deep emotional shifts it stirred up and the kind of courage that doesn't come from muscle or youth, but from showing up for yourself every day. So let's get into it, chapter by chapter, just like a conversation over a good strong coffee. Let's talk about what it's really like to sail solo at 50. I didn't set out to sail solo because I was chasing some romantic ideal. I did it because life pushed me there, quietly but firmly. The kids were grown, the house was too big, and I'd spent enough years doing what I was supposed to. Something in me craved a new kind of freedom, one that didn't come with fluorescent lighting and commuter traffic. I'd always loved the sea, but I'd told myself for years that I'd missed my chance, that sailing was for the young and the bold. Turns out, it's also for the worn-in and the wise. Solo sailing didn't scare me as much as staying stuck did, and once I let go of the idea that I needed a crew or a perfect plan, I started looking at boats. Choosing to sail solo at 50 wasn't about escaping, it was about arriving. Arriving at a place in life where I finally trusted myself enough to be alone with my own company, to listen to the wind instead of noise, and to live on my own terms. It's not always easy, but man, it's honest. And that honesty, that's what I was really sailing toward. Moving from land life to sea life isn't just a change of scenery, it's a shift in how you exist. On land, everything's structured. Bills, errands, schedules, noise, distractions, expectations. Out here, it's just you and the boat, and if you're lucky, a breeze in the right direction. At first, the silence felt loud. I'd wake up and wonder what I was supposed to do. There's no calendar for drifting on anchor or fixing a squeaky hatch. You have to figure out your own rhythm. That shift hit me harder than I expected. I'd spent decades being busy, and suddenly I had nothing to prove and nowhere to be. But slowly, something inside me changed. I stopped reaching for my phone first thing in the morning. I started paying attention to the way the light moved across the deck. I learned the names of clouds again. There's a peacefulness that sneaks up on you when your days revolve around tides and weather, not deadlines. Emotionally, it's like shedding an old skin. You stop living on autopilot, and you start living aware. It's raw, it's real, and at this age it feels exactly right. Freedom at 20 feels wild. Freedom at 50? It feels earned. There's something deeply satisfying about knowing you don't owe anyone an explanation for your choices anymore. When I slip the lines and head out alone, there's no one asking when I'll be back or where I'm going. It's just me, the sea, and the horizon I choose. That freedom isn't just about movement. It's mental too. I no longer carry the weight of trying to be the perfect employee, parent, or partner. I've made mistakes. I've survived enough of life to know what actually matters, and that clarity is its own kind of liberty. But freedom doesn't mean recklessness. It means responsibility. Every choice I make out here, when to reef, where to anchor, what weather to ride out, I own it. There's no backup crew, and oddly enough, that's where the real freedom is. It forces you to live deliberately. So, what does freedom feel like at 50? It feels like waking up to a sunrise you didn't schedule, like choosing peace over noise, like finding out the best version of yourself was waiting just beyond the breakwater all along. Fear's a funny thing. It doesn't hit you the way movies make it look. Out here, it creeps in quietly. The wind picks up, the clouds get heavy, the autopilot glitches, and suddenly, you're alone with that voice in your head saying, "What if?" When I first started sailing solo, fear showed up often. Not just the fear of storms or gear failure, but deeper fears. What if I get hurt? What if I made a mistake, leaving everything behind? What if I can't handle this? But here's the thing. Every time I've faced fear on the water, I've learned something, not just about sailing, but about myself. I've learned how to calm my own panic, how to think clearly when things go sideways, how to fix things I didn't know I could. I've also learned when to call it, when to turn back, when to hunker down and wait it out. Fear doesn't make you weak out here. It keeps you alive, sharp, humble. Facing fear alone isn't about pretending it's not there. It's about staring it down, adjusting the sails, and moving forward anyway. And that's a lesson I don't think I could have learned any younger. Solitude is a gift. Loneliness is a weight. And out here the line between them can blur fast. When I first started sailing solo, I was chasing solitude. I wanted space to breathe, think, heal. And I got it. In spades. Long stretches of quiet, sunrises with no audience, nights where the only sound was the water lapping at the hull. It was beautiful, cleansing. But there were moments when the quiet turned cold, when I'd look at the empty cockpit across from me and feel a pang, when I'd drop anchor in some perfect bay and have no one to toast the sunset with. That's when loneliness crept in. The trick, I've found, is staying connected in small ways. A radio call, a message sent when the signal's good, dropping in on a friendly marina now and then, and most of all, remembering why I chose this. Solitude lets you hear yourself again. It gives you back the parts of you that get drowned out in crowds. Loneliness, though, it just reminds you that we're meant for connection. So I embrace the solitude and manage the loneliness. They're both part of the journey, and both have their place on board. One of the biggest shifts in solo sailing is learning to truly trust yourself. Not just your skills, but your instincts, your judgment, your inner compass. When you're out here alone, there's no second opinion. No one to say, yeah, that looks like a squall, or let's check that bilge pump. It's all on you. At first, that's intimidating. I second-guessed everything. I'd check the anchor set 3 times before bedtime. I'd stare at the weather forecast like it owed me an apology. But with time, something changed. I stopped doubting and started deciding. I tuned into my gut. I paid closer attention to the boat, the sea, my own reactions. You build this quiet confidence, hour by hour. It doesn't come from books or forums, it comes from experience, from screwing up and recovering, from making the right call and seeing it work out, and from knowing that even if something does go wrong, you've got what it takes to handle it. Trust isn't about thinking you'll never fail. It's knowing that you'll get through it when you do. And at 50, that kind of self-reliance, it's more valuable than any piece of gear on board. Let's be honest, sailing solo at 50 isn't the same as doing it at 30. The body talks back more, knees pop, backs ache. You learn pretty quick what your limits are and what gear really matters. I've made a lot of little upgrades that make a big difference. A good autopilot? Essential. Electric windlass, my best friend when I'm hauling up anchor at dawn. I've added extra handholds, non-skid pads, and made sure every tool I need is within easy reach. It's about reducing strain, not proving anything. I also plan differently now. I don't push it just to cover more miles. I pay closer attention to the forecast, the tides, my energy levels. I pick anchorages with better protection, and I don't hesitate to stay put when the weather's iffy. That's not caution, it's wisdom. Food, water, meds, everything's stocked with the kind of care you get when you've been around the block. I don't just think about comfort, I think about safety, sustainability, and simplicity. Solo sailing in your 50s doesn't mean you're slower. It means you're smarter about how you move, and that makes every trip more enjoyable and a whole lot more sustainable. The quiet nights at anchor. Some of them are pure magic. Still water, stars above, the gentle rocking of the boat lulling you to sleep. Other nights, not so gentle. The wind shifts, the swell creeps in, and suddenly every creak sounds like doom. At 50, I sleep lighter than I used to. Not from anxiety, just from habit. I've learned to read an anchorage like a book. Depth, protection, wind direction, bottom type. I check it all. I also have routines. Anchor alarm set, gear stowed, flashlight close. Those little rituals give me peace of mind. But yeah, some nights still get under your skin. The sound of wind howling through the rigging, the tug of chain on the bow roller, it'll keep you wide-eyed at 2 a.m., especially when you're alone. I've had nights where I sat in the cockpit in my foulies, watching and waiting, hoping the anchor holds. And yet, those nights teach you something. They sharpen your edge. And when the sun rises and everything's still right where it should be, you feel proud. Anchoring solo isn't just about dropping the hook, it's about learning to trust it and yourself. Solo sailing isn't just a physical challenge, it's a mental game. Being alone for long stretches means you've got to keep your head straight. And at this age, I've learned that mental resilience isn't about being tough, it's about being kind to yourself. I keep a routine. That helps. Morning coffee, a walk around the deck, checking systems. I write in a logbook. Not just technical stuff, but thoughts, reflections. It's like a conversation with myself. I also make space for joy. Reading, cooking a decent meal, even just watching the clouds roll by. Staying connected matters too. I keep in touch with a few friends over email or radio when I can. A quick message, a shared weather report, "You won't believe what broke today." It makes a difference. But the biggest thing? I don't fight the hard days. Some days you feel off. That's okay. You ride it out. Like bad weather, and then the good days return. Those moments of pure beauty, of calm seas and quiet satisfaction. That's what keeps me going. Not just the scenery, but knowing I've got the strength to be out here alone and still smile. If I could go back in time, would I still choose this path? Without hesitation, yes. Has it been hard? Absolutely. There have been moments of doubt, loneliness, mechanical chaos, and more than a few bruises, but there's also been growth, freedom, pride, peace, and a kind of joy that I'd never have found sitting behind a desk. Solo sailing at 50 isn't about proving anything to the world, it's about proving something to yourself. That it's never too late, that you can start over, that life can still surprise you, challenge you, lift you up. This life isn't for everyone. It demands patience, resilience, and a certain comfort with discomfort. But for those of us who hear the call of the sea, who crave that mix of independence and wonder, it's worth every knot. So, yes, I'd do it all again. Because sailing solo gave me something I didn't even know I was missing, myself. And if that's not worth chasing, I don't know what is. So that's the truth of it. Solo sailing at 50 is raw, real, and absolutely worth it. It's not always easy, but the freedom, the clarity, and the quiet strength you find out here, that's priceless. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Wherever you are, on land or sea, keep chasing what sets your soul afloat. See you out there.